you need to listen and hear me out, because I'm going to give you all the inside scoop about what makes a case valuable in California. If you live outside of California, I can't answer your questions, but if you live in California, you're a worker, you've been injured, you have workers' compensation rights. It's a no-fault system, which means you get benefits even if you caused your own injury, even if your employer did nothing wrong. There are exceptions to that rule, horseplay and other things, but by and on the large, if you're injured at work in California, you get workers' comp. Now, some people get big settlements, and I've been getting questions, what makes my case big? And there's a lot of different factors that will affect, the size of your settlement. And the first major factor is how big is your injury. If you have a big injury that's going to require a lot of medical treatment and time off of work to treat, then that's going to make your case bigger. You're going to collect more temporary disability. You're going to collect more medical treatment. Maybe you have multiple specialties. That's a bigger case. Now, just because you have a big injury, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a big case. You can have a big injury, like a broken arm or something, and the doctors can put you back together in a couple months, and maybe you go back to work full time and you have no permanent impairment from that injury. So the second factor that makes your case worth money is you have an injury that medical science can't fully cure. So not only do you have a big injury, it requires surgeries, it requires a lot of time off of work, but at the end of all of that medical treatment, you don't get fully better. Maybe you can't go back to your job, and you need a lot more medical care in the future. You need medical care to relieve your pain going forward, pain management, etc. Now, at the end of the case, you're going to get a permanent disability rating, and the bigger that rating is, the more money you get. So people who need a lot of care, have very serious injuries that are lifelong, are going to end up with the biggest settlements, generally speaking. Now, there are other factors that will affect whether or not you get a big settlement. For example, settling early. If you have a big injury that requires surgeries, it's going to be lifelong, and the insurance carrier knows it, they might try to settle your case out before you collect all of your temporary disability benefits, before you collect all of your medical treatment, and that can add to the permanent disability and other things that the insurance carrier is approximating or estimating at that point. You haven't been through the treatment, nobody really knows, but the carrier just kind of understands, okay, this person's very, very injured and they're going to need a lot of this stuff, so let's just give them a big settlement right now. Now, that person might cash out a lot at the very beginning and maybe even get a bigger settlement than the person who chooses to go through all the medical care, medical treatment, medical legal examinations, getting their temporary disability, etc. So if you're very, very injured and you need lifelong care, it's a serious injury that's never going to fully heal, and you settle early, you might get more money than the person, in terms of a lump sum, you might get more money than the person who sees it through. But you'd have to look at the overall benefits printout of what each party collected at the end to really determine who got the bigger settlement. And since no two cases are alike, it's very difficult to ever really know. So, how serious is your injury? What are the long-term consequences of the injury? How soon do you settle? These are all factors that affect how big your settlement is. Now, if you have more questions about what to do, you need to contact an attorney, someone who understands these types of issues, because every case is different. And for example, another factor that will affect how much you get is what employer do you work for? What kind of insurance do they have? Now, there's cheap insurance. There's insurance that always tries to pay the minimum amount, no matter what, always tries to lowball. They lowball to the very end. Even at the end, when you're trying to get your settlement, they're still lowballing. Usually this happens with like agencies that hire people, then go work for other employers, other companies, and they have high turnover, and they're trying to keep their costs down. And one of the reasons why the company hires from agencies is to keep their costs down. So trying to keep the workers' comp under control is a huge cost savings for the employer. So they're always looking to lowball. Then other companies like defense contractors and large tech companies that they tend to pay out better, in my experience. I mean, if you work for Northrop Grumman or Honeywell or a company that just cleans house because they got great government contracts, then you're probably gonna get a better settlement going that route. So if you have more questions, you can leave a comment in the comment section below. I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. Ontario has really bad roads right now. I mean, it's living in America, baby. Bouncing all over the place. But if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. If you are in California and you need a workers' compensation lawyer, give my office a call. You can dial 866-NAPALIN. I'll also leave that number in the description below. And yeah, I'll leave this video up so that people can start to understand, you know, how big of a settlement, what makes a big settlement in workers' comp. You know, another factor is multiple injuries. You know, multiple body parts, multiple impairments adding up together. Multiple med legal evaluations in different specialties can also increase it. You got internal issues, psych issues, you got neurological issues, you have orthopedic issues. If you got all of those issues going on, here we go, boom, boom. If you got all of those issues going on, then, you know, you're going to have a larger impairment rating. You're going to need more medical treatment. Okay, hope that helps.